Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking Shakers. I'm Liam Cronell and today with me in the studio is Bury reporter Nick Jackson. So Nick, Saturday, 2-1 defeat to Stevenage. A fair result or a little bit unlucky?
I think you'd have to say it was fair. I mean, Stevenage were they had a reputation for being a bit direct, functional. I didn't think they were, to be honest with you. I thought they deserved to win, and in fairness to Richie Barker, he admitted as much, that it was almost like parallel with Arsenal. They were sort of tapping it around, playing pretty football in areas that weren't really hurting Stevenage, and effectively they paid the price for it because they didn't create anything before Stevenage scored, and Stevenage effectively deserved to score, although it was a bit of a scrappy goal. They had one of their own disallowed, Bury did. I mean, I couldn't see whether it was offside or not, but the linesman gave it. But in the end, they just didn't create enough to merit anything really. And credit to Richie Barker for saying so afterwards. I mean, he summed it up for me, like because the contrast with the Notts County game, the previous game when it was 2-2, they could have easily won it. They played great football, good purposeful passing football. But the Stevenage game, they were just purposeless really, and that was it really.
They do seem to be an inconsistent side this season, don't they? They go on these good runs and then they've had runs where they've lost a number of games. Do you think that's just because it's a step up and getting used to League One? I
think it is, and you've got players who are learning the game. They've got lots of loan players coming in and out who are coming in and out of the squad. There's sometimes a lack of familiarity, but the sense that the thing I get is that there's obviously a good team spirit there, because only one of the players that's been on loan at Bury, Giles Coke's just gone back to Sheffield Wednesday. Actually, he's the only one who wanted to leave, but the rest of them want to stay for longer, so there must be a good dressing room spirit.
But he'll be a big loss to them, won't he? He's been very effective in midfield and chipped in with goals.
He has, and he was just starting to come on song, but I think somebody told me at the weekend a fit Giles Coke wouldn't have come to Bury, and he effectively came to Bury to get fit so he could challenge for a team in the Wednesday side, and that's what he's done, and Bury have reaped the reward for that. Unfortunately, they'll go to Oldham now for the big derby on Saturday, and they won't have him, so they'll have to make, but my guess is they'll manage, and it'll be a big sort of, in terms of League One, a big local derby. You know.
Look, obviously you've touched on the game at the weekend and the short trip to Oldham. Going there with plenty of hope of coming back with 3 points, or will a draw be a good result?
I would say they wouldn't admit this, but I would imagine if they could get a point from that, they'll be happy, because Oldham they're unbeaten in 3. They've scored a lot of goals. They've had 2 consecutive 3-3 draws. So they can score a lot, but they can also concede a lot, which might suit Bury because they like teams coming at them, so they can hit them on the break. So hopefully they can go there and they'll be up for it. Because last week, as well as the Notts County game and the Stevenage, they played 3 matches in a week, which is and you could tell a little bit against Stevenage they were a bit leggy. And I think they were looking forward to a rest this week, and they could go into the Oldham match with fresh players.
And while it was a little bit disappointing on the playing side, off the pitch with the figures for the season coming out, plenty to be positive about with Bury halving the debt.
Yeah, they've halved the debt. Last year I think they were in debt to the tune of like £500,000. It's now down to 234,000 due to some prudent management. Also, the fact they got promoted. A big factor in that, according to the chairman that I spoke to yesterday, is to do with the fact that they've lost anything. Is a lot to do with, believe it or not, the harsh winters. Because apparently, when Saturday matches are postponed and they're rearranged for Tuesday nights, you lose about 30% of your revenue when that happens. So a long hard winter equals losing money for clubs like Bury, and it makes a big difference. But they're optimistic of not losing anything this year.
Well, presumably with these big games and big clubs, your Sheffield Wednesdays and Uniteds, Huddersfield, Charlton's all come in, they'll bring fans, and that'll boost it further.
And let's not forget also they've got Crawley Town in the FA Cup a week on Saturday. That should be although they're League Two, they're a club on the rise. That'll be an interesting game, and I'm sure both teams will want to make progress, so that should be a nice cup tie atmosphere as well for that.
So plenty to look forward to for the Shakers.
Indeed, fingers crossed.
Right, that's it for another edition of Talking Shakers. Thanks for tuning in and hope to see you next week.